Hey everyone! So I recently been itching to try something new and I wanted to try content creating for a while to see if it's something I like. And also from time to time I get to ask to have my brain picked, but I found some of the questions quite repetitive. So I figured recording my answers and also bringing you guys along on my journey could potentially be helpful for some people. So in this video, I'll be talking about how I started Spatial Dynamics with my co-founders Quincy and Raymond and our journey so far. Quick introduction to who I am. My name is Gina and I co-founded a hardware industrial design studio called Spatial Dynamics. You can check out some of our work on our website at spatialdynamics.design. How we started. At that time, I was working at a large corporate design firm that mostly focused on products that had to do with packaging. And of course, nothing wrong with the job. It just wasn't something that I could see myself doing long term. I am very grateful for the opportunity though, because it really helped set the foundation of a lot of what I know today. So we started the studio in 2020. The pandemic at that time had been going on for a couple of months, and I knew I really wanted to start a studio. I had a small freelance thing going on the side where I would take some small gigs here and there along with my full-time job, but I wanted to turn it into a bigger thing. And so working at that big corporate design studio made me think, how hard could it possibly be to run a business, right? And of course, those are very famous, naive thoughts of a lot of entrepreneurs. Also at that time, I was stuck in my apartment in Brooklyn, New York. All of my roommates had left to go home when the pandemic hit, whereas I decided to stay for work purposes. So I spent a lot of time by myself reading since that was my way of keeping busy. One of the first books I read during my reading frenzy, as cliche as it is, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And even though it is a bit of an old book, and some might say it's even a bit overrated, it really did inspire me to continue to pursue my dream of running a business one day. And I had always been interested in entrepreneurship up to that point. I was in an entrepreneurship club in college, and I even had a few failed business idea attempts in the past, but I knew that this is what I wanted, and working for myself was my dream. In order to do the studio thing, my first thought was that I needed a 3D printer. So I reached out to my friend Quincy, who at that time was working at MakerBot, and he knew everything about 3D printers. So I asked him for a 3D printer rec if I wanted to start a small studio. So he gave me a few recommendations, and a day or two passed, and then he asked me what I needed the recs for. And I told him I wanted to start my own studio, and he said that he also really wanted to do that too. And that he and Raymond were doing some freelance on the side here and there also. So we thought, okay, maybe if we band together, we could get more interesting projects. And that was the beginning of Spatial. So our first couple of projects consisted of like a smart trash can and an AI dementia monitoring system for an AI medtech startup that was trying to figure out more consumer-focused applications for their technology. That startup was led by some very prominent figures and pioneers of AI, and that's also what got us to really deep dive into understanding how to create these complex systems with new technologies that the mass public has yet to experience. We worked on these side projects for about a year on top of our full-time jobs. At that time, we didn't consider ourselves a studio yet. We just enjoyed having the opportunity to learn and create these complex products with this new tech, and also learning and understanding the various factors that needed to come together in order to bring such a new product into the market. This particular startup did eventually go under, as many startups do, but it was a really great learning opportunity and also got us hooked onto the whole deep tech hardware scene. Going from studio to award-winning studio. A big hurdle that we found ourselves facing in the beginning was that we felt like a lot of people didn't see us as very credible in the beginning, because even though individually we had a pretty good understanding of industrial design at that point, we didn't have much of a track record as a studio for hardware work. And we knew that one major way to build credibility was through recognition. So one of our goals in the beginning was to win a Red Dot Design Award, which is one of the most prestigious awards for product design. Originally, we hoped that the AI dementia monitoring system would win, but it didn't. So we continued with that goal with another project called Nutri AI Kitchen Scale. And for that project, we had the opportunity to work with MIT Hand Lab, which kind of ran in the same circles as the AI medtech startup. And we tried to find ways to apply their technology to consumers in the real world in a useful way. This project was also beneficial for MIT Hand Lab because it helped them think about possible applications for their technology beyond just software, and it was also something fun that they could show to potential investors. After many creative exercises, we finally landed on the idea of automating kitchen scales for nutrition tracking. We prototyped it out, we created a concept prototype and submitted it to Red Dot, and that eventually won, so we were really excited about that. But this also helped us validate that our sense of design was going in the right direction, and it also helped us build credibility and confidence in our potential future clients that we knew what we were talking about when it came to hardware design. Working for other people. One thing that I believe that made a huge impact on where I am today in my work is having the opportunity to live and work in New York right out of school. And before we worked for ourselves, like all three of us, we worked for other companies and studios. And this really helped us form our basic understanding of the industrial design industry. And it also helped us understand the level of rigor and amount of hard work it really takes to design and launch new products. For my first job, I worked at a studio who serviced a lot of large corporate clients for their packaging and worked with a lot of brands, mostly under P&G. And then I went to a smaller studio after that and worked on some projects for interesting clients like Our Place, Design Within Reach. But at this point, our studio, Spatial Dynamics, was starting to take off a bit, and I had a really deep burning desire to work for myself. So at one point, Quincy and I were teasing Raymond about how he wasn't willing to buy the airplane ticket to come to New York City to really build the studio. And to incentivize him, I told him that the second that he buys his airplane ticket, I will put in my 2 weeks notice. So he immediately bought his airplane ticket, much to our surprise. And I was like, I have to keep my word. So in a couple days, I put in my 2 weeks notice, and I had a really honest conversation with my boss about how I wanted to work at my own studio. And he was kind enough to strike a deal with me where he would contract work to us to help us get off the ground or more off the ground. But he could also get work done that way since he had a lot of projects coming into his studio and he really needed as many hands as he could get. So I really appreciate that man for giving us the opportunity, especially when we were so naive about the realities of running your own studio. That set us on our journey of working for ourselves full time, and this was around late 2021. From the get-go, we were all interested in physical product design and hardware. We were very motivated to excel at our careers too, and we felt like working for others really locked us into a box of what we do day to day, while working for ourselves was the fastest way for us to learn and keep our minds stimulated, because we were locked in our houses for a year for COVID. And so we also decided that doing consultancy was probably one of the fastest ways to learn from a lot of different startups on how to launch all kinds of hardware products. So at that time, we had a really cute 900 square foot studio space in Dumbo. COVID pricing made it quite affordable, but it was also a necessary escape from our home during COVID times. That was a really nice thing for us to be able to have. And our studio space in Dumbo was really fun. We shared the space with one of our other friends who did photography, and it really helped keep things interesting because sometimes he had some clients who wanted some very spicy photo shoots, if you know what I mean. And it was really fun to see how that whole world worked. Also, our studio was really close to one of my mentors from college when I was a member of the entrepreneurship club. He really helped me prepare my pitch at that time, and it was really great to just be near him, and he would give us tips from time to time as our business grew. Also, in that studio space, we hired our first intern and contractors there, so we have a lot of fond memories from just being there. We also went to a lot of networking events to get to know the New York City tech scene, and in general, I really enjoyed the hustle and bustle and the friends we made there, but the one big thing that we realized was that the hardware scene in New York City was a bit lacking, at least in the way that we wanted it. So that brings us to our move to Boston. So Quincy ended up going to the Harvard Graduate School of Design for his master's, and in the first few months that he was here, he realized how much more prolific the hardware scene was in Boston, especially since MIT is right there. And since it was just the three of us working full-time at the time in the studio, we decided to just move our whole studio to Boston. We truly do believe it was one of the best decisions we made for the business because there's just so many more projects here. Also, we decided that in order to be more productive and also burn less cash, at least while we're getting the business off the ground, we would combine our work and living situations under one roof. So in November 2022, Raymond and I went to go scope out apartments around Cambridge, and we found a great place close to Harvard Square that was big enough to accommodate all our living and work needs, and we moved everything in the middle of December 2022. And that brings us to 2023. In less than a year, we've significantly increased the number of projects we have, the complexity, the depth, and we really feel like we're working with more groundbreaking technology. Also, we feel a lot more connected to the hard tech startup scene, and we're really excited about some of the projects that we're going to be coming out with next year. Some of our hopes for the future of our studio. We really hope to grow the studio and start hiring more full-time employees. And also, we've been flirting with the idea of launching our own products at some point. As of right now, we're still in the research and development phase of figuring out what that would be and would we even want to create and what we're passionate about. But it's mostly just us trying a bunch of things and just seeing what lands. For example, we collaborated again with MIT Hand Lab and a friend from the Media Lab to create this offline ChatGPT computer, and it was quite a hit at a recent party that we threw. Personally, I really want to start content creating because my interests lie in helping others build and launch their products, and I also wanted to start building more of a community of people who are also interested in the same topic, and I felt that YouTube videos have the most depth and reach when it comes to sharing knowledge and building a community. I hope to put out regular videos and just see where this goes. If you would like to follow me on my journey, please subscribe to my channel. I hope to start putting out videos regularly. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching my first video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!